And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse. This is the Derby Prep Show. Jim Miller and Dave Kaplan. Cap, it's a great day. I'm in my Sox gear. You got your Cubs gear. You are North
Better at Wrigley, baby.
Baseball is probably better. It's enjoyable at Wrigley. It definitely is enjoyable at Wrigley. Who's going to have the better record this year?
I would think the White Sox. I would think they're like an 84, 85 win team. I have the Cubs hovering around 500, 82 and 80, too. Something like that. Yeah, the Sox window to win is open.
I bet the over on both of those numbers, and we're sitting at the PointsBet Sportsbook here at Hawthorne. You can bet those right now. I think the Cubs can finish second in the division. St. Louis is going to be pretty tough. You'd have to think the top starters for the Brewers are going to be dealt, don't you think, when they get closer to the trade deadline? Unless they're in the lead in the division.
Unless they're in the race, I would think they're going to have to start thinking about moving those guys because I don't think they have the money or the willingness to sign them.
Right. All right, now this morning you were out doing everything, getting ready for the show. Mm-hmm. You were in Wrigleyville. You're ready and rolling for Cubs fandom. People had to be coming in early for opening day. It's a 1:20 start. It's actually beautiful weather for baseball, and you don't always get that this early in the year either.
Yeah, I was looking at all these people drinking Bloody Marys and eating barbecue at 7 a.m., and I'm thinking, yeah, no shot. I can't do it. I got a horse racing show. You got a horse racing show. You got to get your workouts, and you have to go with hoodie all the way until 10. And then you got Snorling, who's giving you a little bit of grief as well. So you're taking it from all ends. By the way, spring trading was for you a couple of nights ago. I thought you did a great job with Chris Bleck on the air. Was it a little odd doing the evening show there? Yeah, because I haven't done evenings since I was at WGN, and I left there in September 16 of 2015 was my first day at ESPN 1000. So it's been almost 8 years since I've worked nights on radio. Now, I've worked nights on TV forever. But on radio, yes. So it was different, but Chris was awesome to work with.
He is. He's a good guy. I was able to see all of you guys out at the 25-year anniversary celebration. That was a really cool show.
That was the coolest radio remote I've ever been a part of in over 30 years in the business. The vibe, the energy that was there was really cool. House
of Blues. You're looking on the floor. All the fans that were sitting there on the floor were completely engaged with everything going on. Then you're at the periphery, and you see the guys still there, like Greg Braggs, our buddy who does the Walk As One. Chicago is there, and he's tuned in. And I look right behind, and Yurko's sitting there at the bar just having a good time, hamming it up with everybody. And that was the cool thing. When guys weren't on air, they were out amongst the crowd and just visiting with everybody who's been supporting the station for so long.
Yeah, they took a station photo. Like every employee. I'm not in it. Because I was up talking to one of our advertising partners, and he said, you need to be down there? No, I'd rather talk to you. And then I come down, and Danny Zetterman, our boss, goes, dude, where were you for the photo? Sorry, I was talking to one of our advertisers.
That's okay that you have to do that. You have to go and visit with everybody. And you did the morning show that day and then shot over there for the 25-year anniversary celebration. It was
great to see you in Dakota there.
It was a cool time. It was a really fun time. Dakota hit spring break. This guy's out there. He's in the sun. He's getting a tan. You know what? He's working hard, but not really working hard at all. He's not working at all. We're working hard here, Cap.
Ready for you.
That's the Derby show, as we mentioned. Now, we covered 3 races last week. We had races from Sunland, races from Fairgrounds, and races from Turfway. Some more impressive than others. We're going to kind of go through those results first. First off, Cap, was the Sunland Park Derby last week. Wild on Ice was the winner at 35-1. This horse is not Triple Crown nominated. This is a horse that it was a massive upset on the race. You're 35-1 on top of 21-1. You're looking at the prices on the screen right there, Cap. 72.80 to win. Look at the exact and the try number. That was in a field of 6.
So I remember when we talked about this last week about Giacomo winning. When Giacomo won the $2 exacta, paid $9,800.
Yep.
$9,800. At $1,096 on a $2 bet is pretty damn impressive.
It was crazy. The favorite runs dead last. The second choice finishes third. It was a weird race. They're duking it out up front. These horses just sat off the edge. The one thing I can say coming out of that race, there's no Derby contenders to me in that spot. Did you see anybody that you thought could do anything?
Absolutely
You're not
not.
even going to see some of those horses in the Derby.
Yeah, I finished third in that race with Henry Q. I did not see Wild on Ice and Low Expectations going 1-2.
No,
I did not.
And the thing that's really interesting about it is you kind of look, too, Fort Bragg was entered in that race, and they came out of there, and they're actually over in a tougher race in the Florida Derby this week at Gulfstream. All right, heading over to New Orleans. at the fairgrounds. The Louisiana Derby was last week on Saturday. We were both on Shopper's Revenge, Cap. This was a horse that actually ran a decent race, rated up close, was 19-1 in there, ended up hanging around to finish a 4th in that spot. Kingsbarns was a horse that made the top and just took him the whole way around. Pretty impressive. You're looking at the prices on the screen there. What do you make of the Louisiana Derby?
So I was watching, obviously, our horse Shopper's Revenge.
Yep.
But I also liked Jace's Road
Yep.
because I got to know a little bit Florent Giroux. Good dude, liked him a lot, so I'm rooting for him.
Yep.
I did not think that Kingsbarns was going to be able to go wire to wire.
Right.
I thought that horse would fail in the stretch. Shame on me. Won by 3.5 very easily.
We were both on Shopper's Revenge thinking that was the horse that was going to get away and maybe even push things along because we both thought there wasn't a whole lot of pace, and there really wasn't in the race there.
Also thought Instant Coffee would run a better race.
Yeah, that was the disappointing horse of the race. The 3-2 favorite in there who everybody was high on going into that spot. Again, Kingsbarns will come out of here, disarm. Maybe Jace's Road will, all three of those will come out and head on to the Kentucky Derby. But again, nobody was really tremendous in that race, and especially when you look at the Derby the way it was last year with so much pace in the race last year, a horse like Kingsbarns would probably be hard-pressed to come back in there and repeat that performance also.
Yeah, Jace's Road is a West Point Syndicate horse. They like that horse very much. It's a good horse. It went up at 6-1. It's a very good horse. I just didn't see a horse in that race that I go, Derby.
Yeah, understandable. You know about West Point horses a little bit now.
A little bit.
Well, now that you're a little bit of a part owner of one through West Point, but that was cool being out there at OBS, being able to see some of these horses. Just a very cool setup for that. Now, the races that was the preps last week was the Jeff Ruby Stakes. It was at Turfway Park. A horse near and dear to us because the horse is on the grounds here at Hawthorne right now, this very second, won the race in 2 fills. And we were talking about Larry Ravelli. You've had horses, you've owned horses with Ravelli in the past. He's a guy who's always winning on the Chicago circuit. So not only were we cheering for the horse, but man, that was a pretty awesome performance.
Well, it won by 5. I mean, drawing away. It was sitting mid-pack.
Yep.
I'm watching the race. I'm on the phone with my brother.
Yeah.
And he's watching, I'm watching, and we're like, all right, let's go 2 fills. I had a little bit of money. You liked 2 fills, so we talked about it last week on the show. And then it hit the top of the stretch, and it was, see you later, boom, gone. I thought that horse, Jareth Loveberry, I thought did a masterful job the way he held him. Boom, there's my opening. See you later.
Yeah, I went back and I saw Larry this morning and was just asking about the horse. He said the horse came out of the race tremendously well, was actually out on the track jogging this morning. And he said the one thing about that race and the one thing about the horse is really he just wants to be covered up by another racehorse. He wants to be right there, right alongside or right behind another racehorse and just basically find somebody to follow around. And he's like, the trip was perfect at Turfway Park. Set, even though he was just outside of horses, he had somebody just follow all the way through the turn. But he said what was really the most impressive thing to him, Cap, was when Loveberry asked the horse to go on the stretch, he thought he might have to duke it out with somebody else all the way to the wire and was worried about actually taking something out of the horse. He said instead this one just ran on by and had more than enough left in the tank. He said Loveberry had a ton of horse left crossing the wire. It's a beautiful setup heading on to the Derby now.
Yeah, and now you don't have to worry about points.
Right.
Oh, boy, do we enter another race. No. He is locked in. He's just, you just were telling me, you talked to Larry.
Yep.
He is going to just train,
Yep.
get him as razor sharp as he can, and they get to do that beautiful walk over at Churchill Downs.
That is going to be cool. And this is a horse that's raced well at Churchill in the past, so that's cool. We were talking about the new paddock at Churchill Downs today, and he said, of course, yes, we'll go ahead of time.
It's bigger.
School the horse, right? School the horse there in the paddock. He said a little bit of rain on Derby Day isn't going to hurt him by any means either. He said he wouldn't mind that if there is a little bit of moisture in the track. But he said this horse has basically raced well on every type of surface. So it's a cool thing to see. Like you mentioned, atop the points leaderboard right now, so they have no concerns about getting into the race. Now it's just getting the horse there, but he said everything's going well. So very cool to see the local guy, the local connections. And Larry said, there's no doubt it'll be Jareth Loveberry on the back of this horse on the Derby, too.
And how cool is that?
It is. It's
how
very
cool.
cool.
I'm actually having dinner with Jareth's agent coming up here, and looking forward to just
hearing stories. That's going to be fun.
That's what I want to hear. Yep. I want to just sit and hear stories because that's how you get educated about this game.
Yep. And there's a whole lot that goes into it and getting a horse to the races and the preparation and where you're picking your spots and what the training routine is going to be and the preparation coming in, where they send the horse, because the horse was in Kentucky, but they bring it back to the home base before going back, and just all the timing and everything. You've been through it kind of on the ownership end of things for picking spots out when they talk about horses, but yeah, it's so much more than just here's the race and that's it.
Correct. And so that's how I learn from people like you that are in the game on a daily basis. Why did you do that?
Right.
Why don't you do that? And that's how you learn.
Yeah, and it's very cool. And it was nice just to go back to Larry. He's very, very open about it, talking about this racehorse. You're all, of course, excited about it. You have to be, but it is. It's
not every day
cool
you're
experience.
As we sit here.
Yeah.
He's the points leader, clearly.
Right.
Not every day are you going to have a horse like that.
Right, yeah. He's had his Breeders' Cup chances. This is different for the Derby because you have to earn your way in. Of course, you do for the Breeders' Cup with the points races.
It's the Derby.
It's cool.
Like, that's my dream. I want my brother and I and our wives to
You're dreaming about it with your horse already.
Right. Like, it may never happen. It probably won't happen, but you never know. That's why you're in the game, to walk over and go, wow, we're at the Derby, and that's our horse.
When you're walking over there, I've been to 2 Derbies. I've been in the infield once and the grandstand once. When there's 100,000 people there watching horses, cheering them on, when the horses walk out of the tunnel to my old Kentucky home, it's the coolest thing. You get goosebumps. It is. It's just, it's an awesome event.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool. All right, there's 2 100-point preps this week that we're going to cover, Cap. And right now, 20th on the points list is 25 points. So it's going to be a whole lot of movement on the Derby points leaderboard.
And last year, 20 got you in.
Yeah, there was a lot of horses kind of defected, and then 5 minutes before scratch time was when Rich Strike got into the race. So that's just how crazy things go. So, yeah, this year's the first race we're going to look at is at Gulfstream Park. That's going to be the Florida Derby here, going a mile and an eighth, a Grade 1 race. You have the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champ and Forte coming back. This horse is sitting at 4-5 in this spot. Forte, coming off a good race here, will be the favorite in the Derby. I don't see anybody else that'll go favored. Did you make any notes on anybody else that you thought at least could be competitive in this race, Cap, to kind of keep things honest for Forte, or is this a one-horse race for you?
I don't think it's a one-horse race. I
right.
don't. Few notes that I texted you this morning.
Yep.
Post position 11, which is what he
sir.
pulled. In the last 49 of these races.
Yep.
2 for 49.
All right.
The odds say you're not winning out of post position 11. However, he's got a Hall of Fame trainer in Todd Pletcher. He's won this race more times than any other trainer alive, 6.
Yep.
No one's ever won as many as him. However, Shaq Diesel will go off at long odds.
Long odds.
He's coming off 2 straight bullet workouts. He is
and
razor
I know you're a
sharp.
workout guy.
I am a workout guy. He's interesting to me. Obviously, he's a long shot for a reason. And then the horse that scratched last week to run this week, Fort Bragg, was purchased for $700,000. When you spend that much money, that tells you there's expectation,
right?
That there's breeding. And he's got 6 straight sub 12 second per furlong workouts. Not one little bullet workout and then we're just going to breeze it. No. 6 in a row. This horse is razor sharp.
Here's the thing about Fort Bragg, too. Right now, they are 53rd on the points leaderboard with 5 points. So like we mentioned, 25 points puts you at 20th. They came out of that race at Sunland probably thinking one of those favorites was going to go out there and beat them, and they wouldn't have enough points. You come over here to the Florida Derby. It's a 100-point race. Of course, if you win, you're in. Second or third will probably still be enough points. That'll put them with 45 points or 35 points to get into the race. So even if you're running for second or third, it's going to be enough to get you into the gate at the Derby.
Third, you might be sweating a little.
Yeah.
You get 40 points, you're good.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, some of these guys, and you never know, you always see these horses that come and then they wheel back really quickly, and they'll come back in the bluegrass and take another shot and try to get those points just to get into the gate. So there's still a little bit of time to figure it out, but I think this is kind of what they're shooting for. Go for this race. See, again, if they don't win, finish second or third in there. But let's talk about Forte, Cap. All right. For those that are speed figure players and work off the buyers, the last 4 buyers, 92, 92, 100, and 98. All 4 of those are better than anybody else in the race that they've done, that they've posted right now. This is a horse that, with the outside draw, you're going to have to think you're good enough and you just stay in the clear the whole way around. Stay outside of horses, just run on by. But then it comes down to value in the race. Okay, Forte's 4-5 in the morning line will probably be shorter than that. It's probably going to be 2-5 or 3-5 in here. So Then it comes to how do you bet the race.
See, I can't bet a horse that's 2 to 5.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I think it's a good horse. It has to prove to me that it's a great horse.
Yeah. So maybe it's one of those things where you say, okay, and Forte's got enough points to be in. They got 90 points. They're in the race regardless. Say the horse runs second. You find one of these long shots, hook up with that horse underneath in the gimmicks. Maybe you can turn yourself a nice little profit there. Forte's going to be the favorite by far, and maybe with a good effort here. I think a victory makes this horse favorite in the Derby.
It depends how it wins.
Okay.
If it's nose
and
out,
has to work a little bit,
then I think people are thinking, somebody might run him down. If he wins by 5 lengths like 2 Phils did a week ago.
That was pretty impressive.
That was really impressive. Yeah. If this horse, Forte, goes out and dominates, hits the extra gear, and you go, bye-bye, see you later, that horse will roll in as a heavy favorite.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like about a horse like 2 Phils, too. They're still not going to give this horse the respect it deserves because they're going to say, oh, well, the horse won on synthetic. Oh, well, it's not Todd Pletcher training the horse or somebody like that. And yes, Larry Ravelli's a very good trainer, but he hasn't been to the Derby. You're still going to get 15 or 20 to 1 on 2 Phils in the Derby, which would be really cool.
Amazing.
We're going to be talking about that horse when we're talking about the Derby prep show in a few weeks. All right, Cap, moving onward to the Arkansas Derby. $1.25 million for the Arkansas Derby. It goes 1 1/8 miles. Again, a 100-point prep race. This is a really interesting race because you only have a handful of horses that even have points going into this race. So that's one of the things that you have to look at. Angel of Empire has points. Rocket Can, Reincarnate, and then Bourbon Bash only with a few points. It's an 11-horse field here, Cap. Let's start with Bourbon Bash. This is a horse that's on the inside. I thought there were some interesting lines in this race. This is one of them. 15 to 1 in the morning line. I think the horse goes a little bit shorter. I thought this horse had a decent shot.
Yeah, this horse ran a 46, 4 furlong in 46 on March 16, and then went out and just that's flying.
Yeah.
And just went out and breezed in its next workout. Just get me loose. We're good. We're ready to go. Is he that 4 furlong in 46, or was that an aberration?
Right.
Remains to be seen. Harlow, Cap, only had 1 workout in the month of March.
Yeah.
Does that concern you at all?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, because you had that race back on February the 18th, and then it was a month until that work. So that's the thing that's interesting. We're going to find out. The thing that's interesting is Steve Asmussen, you look up and down the field. He's got that horse. He's got Red Route Run in there. And then just going back and forth, Ricardo Santana is kind of his main guy. He sticks with Harlow, Cap, who he's never ridden before. And you got Tyler Gaffleone, who has ridden Red Route 1 in the past, but he didn't ride the horse last out. But it's interesting that Santana's in there. I think it's going to be a little bit of a reach for that horse in the Arkansas Derby.
I'll tell you the horse that really intrigues me is Reincarnate.
Yeah.
It's 5 to 2 in the morning line. Velasquez in the irons. It's a Tim Yaktine horse. It's a really, really good horse. And, again, I go back to its history and then its workouts. 59, 112, 47 and 4, 1 minute and 4. A bullet workout back on February 12th, 111 and 3, 59 and 2. Like every workout, that horse is cruising.
Yep, solid racehorse.
So I like that horse. And then 2 Eagles River. 4 workouts in March, and all of them were impressive.
That's probably the horse that's going to be the pace of the race, too. And the thing about this race is you look up and down, there's not a ton of early speed in this race. When they raced in the Rebel, there was a decent amount of pace in there. 2 Eagles River should be forwardly placed. Coming in off a mile race in that last out, which is a short stretch at Oaklawn Park. But the horse finished up nicely, finished up strong, winning by 4 there, too.
What about Colomio? Also sharp, but the last 4 races have all been on turf.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's interesting, because normally those turf horses, if they're going to try a Derby prep, are going to try the Jeff Ruby Stakes over at Turfway Park, because they say those turf races kind of translate over to the synthetic surface a little bit. You're coming over here. This is a horse that'll be a massive, massive price, too. But here's the thing. You never know. James Graham and Keith DeSormo have had success when they've made this move in the past. This is something that is proven. Now, going back to Reincarnate here, Cap, that race in the Rebel, that was a tough trip for this horse. The horse expected to rate a little bit closer in there, and then they got shuffled all the way to the back of the pack. Comes running in the stretch, and then kind of gets bounced around in between horses and doesn't get through real cleanly. The winner had a dream trip kind of circling around horses there for the victory. I think Reincarnate is the best horse in the race. I think the horse is going to win. I think the horse is going to win actually rather easily in this spot, too. But anything close to that last start we'll see how things unfold. I did talk to Nancy Holthus, who was out there at Oaklawn Park. She said they're expecting some rain for Friday, but things are supposed to be clear for Saturday. They're expecting a fast track. They say that track has been draining very well throughout the course of the meet, too. So that's going to be the horse that I'm going to look to in here.
Reincarnate.
Reincarnate. I'll play everything around Reincarnate. Probably look at some prices underneath.
No interest in Greg Bragg's?
Our guy, Greg Braggs.
Yeah.
But
Fort Bragg is the name of the horse.
No interest for me there. All right, so if you're playing this race, if you're playing the Arkansas Derby here, we haven't even talked about Rocket Can, who has 40 points, so that's a horse that is in the gate for the Kentucky Derby, I would say. And even if they finish fifth, because they're down to fifth for points in here, that's going to be enough to
and it
get
is
you
4-1.
4-1, yeah. I was a little surprised at Red Route 1 being 3-1 because, again, that last start was a completely different race. Again, so much pace. This horse was very well ridden by Christian Torres. Sat at the back of the pack, way completely out of contact with the field, but saved ground the whole way around. And I think this is going to be a completely different race pace scenario-wise. So I don't think we're going to get the same trip out of Red Route 1. I would probably take Reincarnate, maybe work it around with, like you mentioned, Bourbon Bash, I think is a horse that you want to look to. I think Two Eagles River is intriguing just because of the way the pace scenario of this race is. So maybe those are the three horses that I'll kind of play things around here for the Arkansas Derby.
What kind of odds do you think we're getting on Two Eagles River? Because, as I said to you,
I think you're going to
that
sit
horse
right around that
is
10-1.
Sharp.
Yeah, and only for the fact that this is a horse that's not really stakes proven at all. This is going to be the first time going the distance of 1 1/8. But again, the way the horse won in that last out was a pretty solid effort, and I think you're going to get 10-1. I think Reincarnated wouldn't surprise me actually if that horse goes a little bit shorter than 5-2. I think Red Route 1 will be higher than 3-1. Rocket Can's kind of the interesting horse because again, that's a horse that ran second to Forte in that last out. They could have easily come back in the Florida Derby and just run second there and had enough points, but instead they're choosing to come over to this spot too. So I was a little intrigued by that as well.
And that is a Bill Mott trained horse.
That's a guy that knows what he's doing. He's won a few races in his career.
races.
He's done pretty good for himself. So, Cap, that's how we see the two Derby preps this week. We have 3 more big preps that are going to come up next week, so we'll be doing this again for the Derby Prep Show. But in the meantime, Cap, we're here in a sports book. It's the NCAA tournament. It's the Final Four. It's the weirdest Final Four I think I've ever seen.
Crazy.
I played one team. I bet UConn to make the Final Four. So I've cashed. I'm out. I'm done for the tournament. Looking at the remaining teams, is UConn just are they the standout? Are they going to win it, or is this the game? I think this is probably going to be their toughest test instead of what could be the final game.
Agreed with you. I wish that we were seeing UConn play either San Diego State or Florida Atlantic, and then Miami and UConn could meet for the title.
Yep.
Danny Hurley, who I've known for a long time, can really coach. I just think his team is playing incredibly good basketball right now. I'm going with UConn.
The massive amount of confidence that they're playing with. That game against Gonzaga, I mean, they made Gonzaga just not even look like the team that's won more tournament games than anybody in recent years.
Really wonderful Gonzaga program. They got the ever-living crap beat.
It wasn't even close. I mean,
not even close.
They were down early, but this is what UConn's doing to teams. They're getting on top, then they're swarming them and they're putting them away, and a lot of teams are not doing that. You're getting 10, 15-point leads and then allowing teams to kind of creep back into it. It's what cost Texas their game in that last out because Texas should have won. They should be a team sitting there in the Final Four as well.
That was my ticket. That was my pool sheet. I had Texas to win the championship, and I bet championship parlays on PointsBet.
Yep.
So I'll take an NFL team, college football, college basketball, baseball, hockey, and NBA. I loop them all together, and like I have one that's still alive. I think I have a $100 ticket, pays $9.3 million.
Oh my gosh! So you're going to be doing
pretty.
If you hit them all, right?
And so we'll see. I have UConn on that ticket.
Yep.
So that's the one I've got alive.
The cool thing is you can put together bets to cover different sports. You can put together bets to cover the course of a season. It's the beauty of it all. So you're a sports guy. MLB opening day, NCAA Final Four, and you know you love your racing. So I got to ask you, you're sitting at home, how many TVs do you have set up, and then do you have the app there for horse racing as well?
Okay, so this afternoon, I'm going right from here right to my house.
Yes.
I have 5 TVs in the basement.
Okay.
On one wall. The Cubs will be on the big screen.
Yep.
Whatever other game, Yankees, and I think they're playing the Giants. There's the Braves, and they'll be there. And then sitting right there on that TV I will be gambling horses.
I love it, Cap. It's a beautiful thing. So we're going to get you home so you can get home in time for first pitch, hopefully.
Look forward to it.
But thank you for coming out. This is show number 2. We got another Derby prep show next week.
Next Thursday.
I'm sure we'll be touching base this weekend and see if we can have any luck with these races, my friend.
I look forward to it. Have a great rest of your day, man.
You got it, buddy. Opening day for baseball. He's a Cubs fan. I'm a Sox fan. Hey, we both love horse
But we're not
racing.
haters of the
No,
other
not
side.
at all. I'm going to cheer for both unless they're playing one another.
Bingo.
So it'll be a lot of fun. I bet them both on the over this year. I think the Cubs go over. I think the Sox go over on the number. So let's see if we can make some money. Good luck to everybody with your races, with your wagers and that. And hopefully we can get you some winners. Have a good one.